Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding Mountain. And today I wanted to make a video about dancing, right? So I've had quite a few people ask me, how did you learn how to dance? Or could you do an instructional video or something like that? And then, of course, you get the other people are like, hey, you look like dude, what are you doing? You should be dancing. You look like an idiot, whatever. That's YouTube, whatever. I mean, I get it. So, but a couple of you guys are asking me, like, how did I learn how to dance? Where did it come from? How did I do that? So one thing that happened to me in high school was I couldn't dance with a shit. Like, I didn't have any rhythm or anything. Like, I didn't really know it. And then I started to listen to music and I started to get rhythm. So the first thing that most people really miss out on in dance, and I knew this guy in high school where he had like no rhythm whatsoever, thought he was the best dancer ever, but every time his foot would hit the floor, the beat would be somewhere else. It was almost like the beat had a passport and it was in another country. So it was like kind of like this kind of thing. But he was convinced he was the best dancer ever, and because he had a couple moves down, right? So first thing I want to say is dancing isn't really about movement as much as it is about rhythm and movement combined. So it's in karate they call it focus, where when you throw a punch, everything lands at the same time. It's like bang, right? It's like this exclamation point that is part of motion, part of the movement. So the first thing somebody needs to learn if they're going to learn how to dance is rhythm, just when the beat hits, it's like you have to really get in time with that and understand how to predict that. Because when you can predict that, then when you do movements, now there's going to be some sort of blending between you and the music, right? So it's like boo, 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 it's like boo, 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 there's this blending. So when you land or move, like when there's any sort of movement, there's going to be some something like that. So that's the first thing somebody has to learn. And until you get that, it doesn't matter what move you learn, it's going to look like crap, because that's really the main reason why dance works, is that you could do the simplest of moves. Sometimes it's just something so simple, just to move and, just moving back and forth can look good if it's in time with rhythm. And sometimes the challenge I've had on this channel, sometimes if I had the music off rhythm with the video, like sometimes it's hard to blend that depending on whether you're compressing the videos or not. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But sometimes you'll get different frame rates that blend, and sometimes it messes up the whole rhythm. But the whole point of dance is rhythm first and foremost. Now, the next how I learned was I used to go to these high school parties, and they were with this group of people from another school, and the girl that used to run the parties was heavily into dance. She was doing jazz, tap. Her name was Dawn Braun, so shout out to her if she's watching this. Most likely she's not, but you never know. Sometimes coincidences happen. But she would have these parties at her house, and it wasn't like a hardcore party. There was no drinking or any of that kind of stuff. They would just have like something to eat or whatever. Sometimes people would watch videos or whatever, and then she'd play some music, and then what would happen, just for fun, we'd start like messing around and doing like different types of almost like music video type dances, where she'd basically say, like, teach you certain things, like where there's moves that were back in the 80s, like Roger Rabbit and Running Man, like all this different type of stuff that was showing up in the music videos at the time. So she would teach us the moves that she knew, and then we'd start, doing them. So before you knew it, I was like working out in my garage, but then dancing in between sets, trying to get moves down, and then I would actually go back to working out. So I was like listening to Belle Biv DeVoe and Vanilla Ice, all this shit back then. Because I was like interested in just the movement and the rhythm, and it was just kind of so empowering for some reason. So that's how it all started for me. I started doing that, and that was something that kind of stuck with me. So then when I was on a bodybuilding stage and doing posing, I would start incorporating some of those things, and sometimes new moves that I would learn from watching a music video and put those moves into my posing routine as well, just to make it more fun for me and more interesting.
Think no further than Jason Gallant, a powerful bodybuilder that started training with his identical twin brother James. As the 1998 Canadian natural champion, Jason has already smelled the scent of success, but it wasn't going to happen.
The one thing about bodybuilding shows that was like watching paint dry to me was watching the posing routines, because you'd see somebody get up there and they'd be like, oh, you know, like there would be like this, you know, romantic kind of music or whatever. It's like Valentine's Day stuff or whatever. It's like, I don't know, just there was no energy, there was no power, there was no stage presence. It was almost like you're lulling the crowd. It was almost like they were lulling the crowd into sleep. And I was thinking, this is supposed to be entertainment, and whether they like what you're doing or whether they don't like what you're doing, at least if there's some energy behind it, at least you can kind of get something going, right? Sometimes a routine doesn't have to be perfect, but if there's energy there and you're right there engaging with the crowd, then sometimes that can bring a lot more joy to the whole process, right? So yeah, I always hated watching these routines. So at first I started just with the journey type routine. I'd just do the standard bodybuilding routine, but it was like high energy music. And then at some point I said, screw it, I'm just gonna start doing some dance moves on there. And I started doing popping and locking and stuff. And I was having a lot more fun when I get out there. So it was something for me to look forward to when I felt like a total bag of crap as far as being dehydrated and dieting for 12 weeks or whatever and getting on stage. You usually feel like hell when you get on stage. But at least when I was dancing, it was kind of a way of bringing some positive energy to it. That's how I learned how to dance. I started when I was a teenager. It's not something you need to learn at an early stage in your life. Like, you can learn it right now. You just have to learn rhythm first, and then some simple moves, right? Just simple moves, just something simple like body control, just like shoulders up, shoulders down, shoulders up, shoulders down. You're really doing this when you're doing bodybuilding exercises. You're learning body control. So little things like chest out, chest in, and then, you know, head out, head in, head out, chest out, and then, you know, so you can start moving all around, right? And that's basically how it starts. And once you start to play around with that, then yeah, it's the next steps kind of reveal themselves as you go, right? So yeah, that's how I started. So I hope this helps you have an idea how I learned how to dance to the way I can anyway. And yeah, that's the origin story of the idiot on the internet. I hope that was enjoyable for you. Thanks to the Patreon supporters, and if you need to get hold of me, just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com and take care for now. Mountain.